Hello, my wonderful people. I stumbled upon this message. I stumbled upon this message by our brother, Dr. Nnemeka Onyeka Obiareri. He is a certified financial engineer and investment banker, executive, and also a chairman of a CFAP Coal. And also, he has been a brain behind most of the agro allied investment that we find in the southeast. This guy is an outspoken. He's a vocal patriotic citizen of the year, and also he has won many awards due to his commitment in making sure that things are working the way it's supposed to work. He had this interview with Dr. Damages by name. Everybody knows about him. He's Rodolph Okonkwo. He's also a Biafran and an IGBOMAN. I don't know whether he identified himself as a Biafra or as an IGBOMAN. But whichever it is, so why I'm bringing this message is for everybody to listen to this interview. It is mouth-watering. You know, it is all about Nigeria. But my people, the Biafrans, we learn a lot from this interview. We will learn a lot, including me, myself. It is a 4 hours interview. But I'm going to know how to just manage it if I can be able to at least scrap out like 1 hour from it. So that anyone that listens to it will go home happy. Anyone that listens to this interview will never regret the data they used or that data they waste in watching it. So I would like you to do me a favor, please and please. Do not go to the comment section and tell me that I should be telling you about Biafra, what is going to happen tomorrow and what is going to happen in many years to come. My brother and my sister, this is a media space. Everything is welcomed as long as it will teach us some wisdoms. So the wisdom attached in this video that made me to just say, okay, let me try as much as I can to cut and join, and to get a 1 complete hour that is educating for my people. Everything is not all about Biafra news, Biafra that, or Biafra this. Sometimes we need an educative informations like this. And it will help us to get to where we are going. So please, if you get this message, do not watch it alone. Let it circulate. Share it, like it, and comment on it. And make sure you keep subscribing to Okute Daily Talk. And as for those of us who commented that they don't know how to use the super chat, my dear, it is very simple. When you see the blue star appear on your screen in any of my video, either live or premiering, just click on it and there you go. Insert whatever information they ask you and the amount you want to use to support the ministry, and boom, I will get it. And I also thank you for doing that. Because this ministry must surely get to the permanent site. I rest my case here. Don't forget, I still remain your one and only Ukulora Nkizu Neshia. Let us go there, my people. After scrapping, we will have to check the comment section, because everything that this man says, if we have 1 million comments here, all those 1 million comments agree to what he said. They are not Igbos, but this guy, Dr. Nnemeka Onyeka Obiareri, is an Igbo man. So we are needed in all the sectors of the country to make things work, but they said no, so we are going home. There's no two ways about that. I beg, let us go there. There's no point wasting time.
Kenny Bedok. So let me ask you, what is your take on what's going on?
For me, Kemi is a hero. Kemi is one.
And YouTube as well, this is not a copyright. This message is sharing information. That is what is being called. And that is how we roll in this side of the world. So never you target copyright or whatever. I am getting this message from my own senior brother, Dr. Damages, who domiciled in New York. I rest my case.
Lady that is both. In fact, I see in her a Margaret Thatcher in the making. And if you look at her political trajectory, really with her husband, you will see clearly, just like what Margaret involved with her own husband. She's one fearless woman who is not afraid to talk about issues many cover away cowardly from. There's nothing Kemi said that is not 100% the absolute truth. And I find this so disingenuous and petty that the Vice President of Nigeria, who is presiding over a country that stands today as the most impoverished country in the whole of the whole world, in fact, is the poverty headquarters of the whole world, a country that sits in the same place with Afghanistan and Yemen as the most terrorized country in Africa, a country that has over 20 million kids out of school, a country that has such pride and forex instability never seen before in the history of Nigeria. A country, despite all the calamities that befallen this country, these people still have guts. VP Shetima and the Wike had the guts to build for themselves £10 million worth mansions. Oshimaka was vice president for 8 years. These guys are not homeless and destitute. Yet, despite all the calamities upon Nigeria, these guys still did what they did. They don't care about the masses. So, for him to have even gone to the extent of pitifully asking Kemi to change his name because Kemi said the truth that he is not willing to stomach is very, very petty. And I say to anybody who cares to this, there's nothing Kemi said that is not the truth. Kemi is not Yoruba because he bears Kemi. I have a son, an only son, who bears the name Oluwatiwi. He bears the name because I wanted to name him as the Lord has spoken. And I just looked at different languages. The one that will not make it to the long was Yoruba version, Oluwatiwi. And I named him Oluwatiwi. He was born in Lagos. That he bears Oluwatiwi does not make him a Yoruba man. He's an Igbo man to the core because his father is a Yoruba, it's an Igbo man born to Igbo ancestry. In fact, my grandfather was not born a Nigerian. My grandfather was born in 1910. He was not born as a Nigerian. Kemi was born British. Kemi only came into Nigeria as a teenager. The usual Nigerian African thing. Let's send our children back home so I don't lose their roots. Kemi grew up as a Britisher. The only link Kemi has with Nigeria is because her parents were born Nigerian. So first of all, she is a Nigerian because her parents were born Nigerian. But the truth is that the ancestry is Yoruba and she can trace her Yoruba-ness 400 years. Unlike her Nigerian name that is started in 1914. Because one Flora Shaw and her boyfriend decided to couple up a name for a geographical entity that sits at 923 square kilometers. They left the substance of the matter and began to attack her personality, There is nothing Kemi said that is not at the root of the matter. She simply brought to the fore the corruptions in Nigeria by the political. Let me tell you something that people don't understand. For the past 10 years, Kemi has been at the center of the British politics. By her privileged position as leader of the Tory, Kemi is privileged to have information that most of us do not have. And I know Kemi sits back. She came to Nigeria, has some ugly experiences. And I'm sure Kemi sits back and she sees most of this political class coming to Britain, buy mansions, buy properties, stash away millions and billions in bank accounts. And of course, she's privy to it. And she sees these same guys who are so selfish and so wicked to stash away the billions of dollars out of Nigeria. Talk about patriotism. And so when she raised the issue, if we are sincere as a people, all I expected somebody like Shetima and the rest of them, who are the part of the privileged gang, all the last 25 years, is estimated over $200 billion have been shepherded out of Nigeria. All I expected them to do is to be sober, to reflect at the issues that she has raised and addressed it soberly, rather than grandstand in pseudo-patriotism that does not exist. Because I am aware that if Kramer, the Prime Minister of Britain, and Kemi were to be the Prime Minister, and Britain is today in the same position as Nigeria, they will not even reason for anybody to tell them they want to build £10 million mansion for them, or for them to buy 19-year-old aircraft as a presidential jet for $150 million. Everything Kemi said is true. She raised the issue of police brutality and police extorting from Nigerians. And they say she is trying to demarket Nigeria. There is nothing Femi spoke to that we have not expressed. I give you an example. You mentioned the fact that I am very bullish about agro development in the southeast of Nigeria and in the southwest and south-south. I am very bullish on the fact that for us to create an all-inclusive prosperity, we must relieve and re-adopt the visions of Dr. Michael Iyawe Karapara, a medical doctor who between 1959 and 1996 built the fastest growing economy in the whole of the Commonwealth and did over 214-kilometer industrial belt. Most of the legacy projects he did, from palm plantations to cashew plantations to rubber plantations to cocoa plantations, are still in existence till today. Some of the roads he built in a place called a race settlement are still standing. So one of the things we was to set up, and we lost money over the last 6 years. We decided to start building agro parks in fenced and gated environments. One of the projects I have in Ibadan, I sent one of my staff from a Benue boy from Ibadan to go to Okibe to pick a motorcycle that will end his job in Ibadan. He took the motorcycle, put it in the Abia line. He moved to a Lagos to Ibadan. He was stopped at Opera Square in Omaya by a team of policemen who claimed to be from CPS Omaya. The guy showed them all the documentations of the vehicle. They said the original owner of the vehicle. They started talking about of trash. They held the guy at gunpoint. By around 8:30 p.m. in the night, the guy called me and I took the phone. I introduced myself. I even told the policeman that the Southeast Farm, which I chair, is a PPP company, owned even 10% by the other state government. I even told that if he mentions my name to even his bosses, that they will identify me. I told him that we bought the machine to Edinburgh, that they should allow the boy go. They refused. They confiscated the machine, and the boy walked away. So when I saw the boy was traumatized, and this boy, I took permission from his people for him to go to this. To avoid complication, I told him, leave them with the machine. We'll sort it out. Find your way back to the panel. As I'm talking to you, 15 days after, that machine had not been found. My younger brother who purchased the machine had been moving from one police station to another, seeking to see where they get that motorcycle. It's criminal gunpoint extortion of somebody's property at this level. And we have similar stories everywhere. Why do you even have answers in 2020? What we should be thinking about is, if Kemi said his brother was robbed, and I have similar experience just 15 days ago, and Nigerians are replete with similar stories. I have a factory in Maraba that produces and mills rice. Anytime my truck leaves Abuja, once it gets to Suka, you will see from Suka to Owerri, there was a time they took almost 545,000 naira from my drivers. It's all manner of criminal checkpoints or the other. These are germane issues that patriotic leaders should be thinking about. Between 1960 and 1966, you could enter a night vehicle with indicating 911 at Rumiko and drive all night to Pambegwa in Kaduna State. Nobody will molest you, nobody will kidnap you. Nigeria was secure. No policeman will stop you on the road, no military checkpoint will extort money from you. That was 1960 to 1966, when we had selfless and patriotic leaders who are willing to lay down their lives for the people. Today, the political class do not care about the welfare of the people. They are not empathetic, they are not sympathetic. They see political office as avenue to show up their sagging economic life. That is why you will see somebody who was a tout become local government chairman, later became governor, and today they are billionaires. They never had any record of any private sector accomplishment. They never worked in any sort of environment. Their only career path is political office, where they loot and share and drink 40-year Glenfiddich. In the First Republic, we had men like Sir Louis Odibe, who was represented to be the wealthiest man in Africa. He was chairman of 15 topmost corporations in Nigeria. He went to parliament not because he was going to hunt MDAs to make money. He went to parliament because he wanted to contribute his wealth of experience in policy making, in program development to build Nigeria. That was why one day he was harangued on the floor of the parliament. He packed his files and he left. Today, what we have, remember in 2003, when a former VIG who was in the Senate said that 65% of those who were in the Senate were men he tried either for drug offenses, for 419, and for corruption. These are the kind of human beings that we have. And I expect them, when such germane issue that Kenya has raised comes to the fore, to humbly and meekly accept the mistakes and admit the errors, and then find the ways of providing solutions to the problem. Trying to hire social media artists to go from Twitter to Facebook, trying to attack and impugn the character of a heroine is not the way to go. And I can tell you the truth, Kenya has stoked a fire that is not dying soon. And each and every one of us who are true patriots must stand solidly behind Kenya. And in fact, what Kenya has started is actually what everybody should be thinking about. Nigeria today is not working because we practically operate a physical structure that is so unite military and quasi-military arrangement that only emboldens and empowers criminals in place of power. We need to evolve back. Before Nigeria became independent in 1960, our forebears, Amadu Bello, Tafawa Balewa, Nnamdi Azikiwe, Obafemi Awolowo, Santana of Sokoto, all of them, they had summits and conferences. They knew that Nigeria as a plate is what it diversifies the people, and they built up a constitutional framework that recognized our diversities and harnessed our strengths. For Nigeria to move forward, I can tell you of a truth. What Kenya has done is a fire that we must embrace. We need to go back today to a cheek. In fact, if Nigeria is a place where the majority of us are reasonably thinking, what the National Assembly should do is to go back and pick up the 1963 Constitution, dust it, only change the geographical expression from 3 regions or 4 regions to 6 regions, and implement the same constitutional resource production, control and governance framework, so that each of the constituent units will look inward. Whatever they produce, they take 50%, pay 30% to the center, and 20% to the federal government. Then we will reduce the exclusive list to what we used to have within those periods to external affairs and international relationship and security of the external borders of Nigeria. That is the only way we can. But if you see anybody today in Nigeria lambasting Kemi, and you know they say Kemi is an ethnic bigot. Kemi is not an ethnic bigot. There is nothing ethnic bigotry in what Kemi said. Kemi acknowledged his ancestry. I said to anybody who can visit, I am firstly unapologetical and equal man before being a Nigerian. And I say it again, my grandfather was not born in Nigeria. And if I'm to trace back to my grandfather, I will tell you, I am first IGBOMAN. And that is the truth. The more we try to shut down avenues for robust and honest discussions on the way forward for Nigeria, the worse it will continue to be. The truth is, Kemi is a heroine that every right-thinking Nigerian, every true patriotic Nigerian, every sincere and honest Nigerian should embrace and give a good hug. She has had a discussion that we must all not shy away and run away from.
All right, thank you, Dr. Nemeka. Let me play a video of the reaction of the Vice President and then get your take on some of the things he said. Let's watch.
Facebook. The co-founder of Facebook was Eduardo Luis Sabirin, born in Sao Paulo, Brazil, of Jewish Brazilian ancestry. Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, was a migrant from South Africa. He owns SpaceX and now X, formerly Twitter. I can name names. Sergey Brin, the co-founder of Google, is worth over $30 billion. He's of Russian background. Rupert Murdoch, the chief executive of News Corp, is of Australian descent. Madeleine Albright, who became the United States Secretary of State, was of Czech origin. Steve Chen, the co-founder of YouTube, is originally from Taiwan. Immigrants build nations and immigrants build civilizations. One of the men in the front seat here has a thriving business in Namibia. He lived in Australia for over a decade, adding value to the Australian economy. Hence, there is a need for us to respect and cherish immigrants. Migrants are the source of life in all societies. Rishi Sunak, the former British Prime Minister, is originally from India. A very brilliant young man. He never denigrated his nation of ancestry, nor poured venoms on India. Kemi Badenoch, the leader of the British Labour or Conservative Party. We are proud of her, in spite of her efforts at denigrating her nation of origin. She is entitled to her own opinions. She has even every right to remove the Kemi from her name. But that does not underscore the fact that the greatest black nation on earth is the nation called Nigeria. 1 out of every 3 poor black men is a Nigerian. And by 2050, Nigeria will surpass the United States, will be the third most populous nation on earth. 1 out of every 3 black men will be a Nigerian.
All right. He said towards the end that the greatest black nation on earth is Nigeria. Do you agree?
The most populous black.
My people, now here, Dr. Nnemeka Onyeka finished Shetima and that so-called Nigeria. We, the Biafrans, each time we speak, my brother, listen very attentively. What you are going to learn from it will lead you all the days of your life. Nnemeka Obiarere carried Shetima from 100 towers building and knocked him flat on the ground. Speaking English that you don't even know what they meaning. Let us continue.
Nation, home to the poorest people on planet Earth.
Yes.
In majority. The most terrorized country in Africa is Nigeria. Nigeria is not the greatest black African nation. Let us stop deceiving ourselves. What are the indicators to indicate greatness? Can we look at it from the economic point of view? We are not the greatest. We are not even top 3 in Africa. South Africa tops us in terms of economy as the biggest economy in Africa. 60 million people, annual revenue of $126 billion. 228 million people in Nigeria, annual revenue of barely $60 billion. GDP per capita of about $1,100. South Africa, about $6,000. In terms of military strength, we're not even among the top 3 in Africa. We are the only country we have the highest population of out-of-school kids. He talks about population as if it's an achievement. That we bring children we cannot send to school. 20 million out of school. For record purposes, the number of out-of-school kids in 2015 by UNESCO record was 10.5 million. Under this government of Buhari and the current government, that number had doubled from 10 million to 20 million. What is the team are talking about? And then the team has cited, wishes to nap. Never talk about India. Have you seen India's renaissance over the last 10-15 years? Do you see where India is today? Look at where India was 15 years ago. Even 10 years ago when Modi became prime minister. And see where India is today. And the giant stride they've made. Why would any same person talk down on a country that is moving forward? Why would Elon Musk turn on South Africa that has not regressed? Minimum wage in South Africa is about 31,000 naira. Minimum wage in Nigeria is about $3. What are we talking about here? He talked about the other country, people from Taiwan. Is Taiwan a third world country? Look at Singapore. 1 out of every 50 Singaporean is a millionaire in dollar. As of 1965, Nigeria was ahead of Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, even South Korea. Go and check the records. As of 1960, Nigeria GDP was $4.2 billion. South Korea was $3.9 billion. And in 1970, Nigeria GDP was $12.2 billion. South Korea was $9.2 billion. And in 1980, our GDP to that of South Korea was at back. Today, South Korean GDP is $1.63 trillion. Nigerian GDP had moved down from $554 billion in 2015 under Jonathan to $252 billion, and it's still going down. What is Shetima talking about? Today, South Korea will clearly call the whole of Africa to South Korea Nigeria Africa Summit. Because Nigeria has failed Africa because of men like Shetima who have refused to agree, who are still standing in emptiness. What are we talking about here? Nigeria is the only country. Look at Singapore. What did Singapore do? As of 1965, Singapore was kicked out of mainland Malaysia. The people of mainland Malaysia saw Singapore as a strip of 721 square miles land surrounded by ocean. Can you hear me?
Okay, we can hear you now. We lost you for a moment.
Can you hear me?
Okay, we can hear you now. Yeah, we lost you for a moment.
Okay, you can hear me now.
Yeah, I can.
As of 1965, Singapore was like a pariah state, hopelessly at loss. One thing that they had good leadership. Literacy level in Singapore in 1965 was 57%. The first thing they did was to build national integration. The Malaya to one thing. They are Singaporeans first before they exit. Then they based everything on merit. Of clan richness to become the order of the day. From 1967 to 2005, Singapore built their literacy level from 57% to over 98%. Today in Nigeria, the literacy level is so low. We have 20 million kids out of school. I expect people like Shetima, who was governor of Borno State for 8 years.
We're having internet problems. I'm sorry, guys. And all right, can you hear me? I'm not sure.
I can hear you clearly.
Okay, all right, go ahead. We lost you for a moment again. Go ahead.
You know, the problem with the average Nigerian politicians, they are very arrogant in their thinking. They have this how would I put it? They have this image of themselves that is out of sync with reality. The average Nigerian politicians do not see themselves as servants, just like Ahmadu Bello, just like Obafemi Awolowo, just like Desamu Mbakwe, just like Michael Oba. The average Nigerian politician today sees themselves as emperors nobody can touch. Look, if I am to review and dissect everything he said, it will blow back to his face. For you, Kemi is 44 years old, and Kemi is poised to become the next prime minister of Britain. How many 44-year-old girls in Nigeria, ladies in Nigeria, can be in the place Kemi is today? How many 44-year-old men in Nigeria can be in the same place Kemi? To this.
Go ahead.
So the truth is, rather than stand in emptiness, in 2050, Nigeria will become the third most populous nation in the whole world. See the kind of parameters these guys are using to measure the strength and the wealth of a nation. I expect Shetima to tell us that by 2027, Nigeria will have $1 trillion size economy, as they promised us. I expect Shetima to tell us by 2027, the number of out-of-school kids will come down to 1 million. I expect Shetima to tell us by middle of 2025, we will destroy Boko Haram, unknown gunmen, ISWAP, and make Nigeria a 24/7 secure place. I expect Shetima to tell us today, in Nigeria today, we have
you have to bear with us. The internet connection is bad, and it's coming from Nigeria. I'm sure it's not from New York. So we'll figure it out. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Now we can hear you, Dr. Nemeka. Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead. We can hear you.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead. Dr. Nemeka, go ahead. We can hear you.
Okay. I expect Shetima to tell us that today in Nigeria, by World Bank indicator, anybody earning anything less than $64.50 is living under extreme poverty. Today in Nigeria, that is equivalent to 110,000 naira. I can bet a finger, over 197 million Nigerians live under poverty. The NDIC did an audit, and they stated clearly that out of the over 116 to 138 million bank accounts in Nigeria, only about 0.4% has up to 500,000 naira balances inside it. We expect Shetima, that's about £243, which is what a janitor earns in the UK in a day. We expect Shetima to tell us, within the next 3 years, we are going to reduce the poverty level in Nigeria from 197 million to maybe less than 1 million. In Vietnam, 100 million people in a landmass of 230,000 square kilometers. Vietnam has poverty level of less than 0.1%. These are indicators we want Shetima to share with us. We want Shetima to tell us, oh, by the end of the next 1 year, we will have domestic food self-sufficiency. We want Shetima to tell us, oh, by the end of next year, Nigeria will be producing 20 million tons of rice. Nigeria will be exporting over $250 billion worth of agro commodities. I have seen most of them from the north trying to shout down on Kemi. One of the former aides to the president, Bashir Ahmad, was even recollecting, oh, how they wish that the north was the one that was taking care of Nigeria through their agro wealth. And I asked him one simple question. You were an aide to Buhari. Buhari was president for 8 years. He had absolute powers. 95% of his appointments were from the north. Buhari and MSN printed 23.5 trillion naira that nobody can account for. $53 billion. If Buhari had taken $30 billion, out of the $53 billion that MSN printed in naira terms and how a lot of them to filter away, to invest in building 5,000 agro parks. 5,000 agro parks that will have seen investment of $6 million under what I classify as my unique missions, community, diaspora, private, public, partnership execution architecture. If Buhari had taken 30 billion out of the 53 billion, they printed and filtered away to set up 5,000 agro clusters. Today in Nigeria, Rudolph, we will have over 10 to 20 million jobs created. Today in Nigeria, we will be generating nothing less than $210 billion from agro products across the agro value chains out of the 5,000 clusters. We will have over 125,000 agro that will be properly trained and equipped and put under national security advisor in such a way that we can destroy banditry and ISWAP and Boko Haram in 3 weeks. But these guys printed 23.5 trillion and squandered it. These guys wasted 11 trillion naira on turnaround maintenance program on refineries that are not working. A Nigerian, Aliko Dangote, invested $20 billion to build a refinery. These same guys are junketing all over the world to see investment. But the man who invested money, they are not doing anything to support him. And these guys will have the effrontery to stand before the national television and be telling us about it. Do you know what? Patriotism simply means sacrifices. Amadu Bello, Tafa Belowa, Nnamdi Azikiwe, Obafemi Awolowo, Defa Mumbakwe, Dr. Michael Obara will not be alive today, and they will build for themselves a 21 billion naira mansion when they are not homeless in a country in the current power state as Nigeria is today. These guys are callously insensitive and they don't want to accept it. What Kenny is saying to them are things the average Nigerian are scared to say. If you say it, they will hunt you, they will torment you, they will want to destroy you. But one thing I've learned, you say the truth, you will die. You don't say the truth, you will die. But I say the truth and die.
All right, we basically have to deal with the internet today, and that's one of those things that is the problem we're having with Nigeria.
That is the problem we have in Nigeria. As I'm talking to you, I am using a 5G fiber network, IPNS. You can see the kind of thing we're experiencing. And I'm just praying that they will not take the light. I have my standby generator in case they take electricity. So what are we talking about here? They try as much as possible to vilify Kemi, to paint Kemi in what she is not. What I expect is to humbly sit down. Anytime they should stop parroting this thing that we are the most populous nation. Our population should translate to wealth. China is populous. In 1980, Nigerian GDP was twice that of China. In 1980, China had 739 million poor people. In 1980, China's literacy level was 62%. What did China do? And between 1980 to 2020 or 2005, China exited over 700 million people from poverty. They built up their literacy level to over 97%. Today, China is a mega power. And there's nothing China has done that we cannot do. I say to anybody who cares to listen that there's no country as blessed as Nigeria. Our population should actually be our strength. What? Expect someone like Shetima, who is educated, to be looking. What do we allocate to education in our budget? With the current state of education in Nigeria, with the current state of insecurity and illiteracy in Nigeria, I expect somebody like Shetima, as the vice president and the head of the economic team, in the 2025 budget, for them to put 25% expenditure provision for education. I expect people like Shetima to drive an all-inclusive devolution of our security architecture, just like what the San Francisco governor said. And I said to them, we are where we are today because we have refused to do the right things. We kept on doing the wrong thing. Between 2015 to 2023, Buhari wasted $25 billion as security expenditure. When Buhari became president, insecurity was narrowed only to Northeast and part of Middle Belt. Today, every part of region of Nigeria is infected with all manner of insecurity. And we know of a truth that the current central security architecture is not corrupted and is not working. And the president of Nigeria, while he was campaigning, said he was going to recruit people into the army. And I said to him, Mr. President, you don't need to recruit 50 million youths. All you need to do is to look back. We had an arrangement that worked for us in 1960-66. And what was that arrangement? Every security is indigenous. People being in this in Anambra State. When Peter became governor of Anambra, so Anambra was a beehive of criminal activities. Peter knew that to be able to establish security and orderliness in Anambra, he need to hand over security back to the people. Very simple. Every community knows the good, the bad, and the ugly. And the truth is, lawful terror, the types of lawful terror. Gangs of criminals are terrorists, are cowards. They are only terrorists because they have access to arms and they can intimidate everybody. What did Peter do? Peter went to the 177 autonomous communities leadership and tell them, please, use your hand. You know the criminals in your society. Pick for me 50 of your sons that we are going to train and put them into Anambra Vigilante. Peter called Yado and told Yado, please, send me people to train these guys and give me arms. And then go to the forest where they used to keep kidnappers and destroy those forests. Peter went to the Anambra State House of Assembly, which was 100% opposition House of Assembly, and begged them, and they passed a law. If your house is used to host a kidnapped victim, you will lose it. They will pull it down. If your forest is used to keep a kidnapped victim, you will lose it. Peter went to Innocent, and Innocent gave him 177 trucks for each of the communities and gave him motorcycles. Peter bought them, the military with the military, they got God. They didn't even have AK-47. It was Shekabula. Each community getted their community. In 6 months, they cleaned up Anambra State. One of the cleaners, Anambra, in fact, the kidnapper had to run away from Anambra and go to Festac, Lagos, to establish the headquarters. And for 5 years, Anambra was voted as the most secured state in Nigeria by the IGP. And I said to us, we cannot invent the way. How did we achieve security in the early 60s? Because the regions controlled their security. And I said, Mr. President, today in Nigeria, we have 8,809 electoral wards. The governor of Zamfara State stated the same thing. They know the bandits. They know where they live. They know where they hide. But they don't have the strength to eliminate them. Because even the Central Police and Army is not doing anything about it. We have 8,809 electoral wards. Go to each of the wards, ask the community heads. They know their people. Let them select 100 of their sons. We've got the numbers. It will give us 880,000 agro rangers. In every electoral ward, set up agro clusters between 300 to 1,000 hectares that will produce wealth and they will protect it about themselves. Go to Innocent, go to Nord. Innocent and Nord will give us, in every local government area, they will produce 2 armored personnel carriers and 1 truck that is machine gun mounted. Give them drone and can also dogs. In the southeast is about 8,000 square kilometers. Less than Benue State, the smallest landmass. And I said this thing, give them AK-47, these agro rangers, train them, pay them well, minimum wage of 120,000 naira. Don't put them under the current compromised corrupt security arrangement. Let us have a tripartite command arrangement. The state commander will be a retired DSS director or a brigadier general or a police commissioner. It will be a tripartite command under the NSA and the governor and the state commandant. Buy motorcycles for them. And I tell you the truth. If in Okibo local government area where I come from, with 11 wards, you have 1,100 fully trained youths with AK-47, with drones, with 3 armored personnel carriers under their command. No, there's nobody criminal that will do sit at home anywhere in Imo State, in Okibo. And these guys will protect the agro. Each of the agro clusters can easily give us nothing less than 5 billion naira in every ward. It will cost us $3.75 billion for the capital expenditure and $1.6 billion for the capital expenditure annually. We will set up a security trust fund that people will invest in, and will charge 22% tax from proceeds of the agro clusters to fund it. The governor of San Francisco said something very striking. He said, if we have the political will and security is handed over to the people, in 2 weeks they will clear all the boundaries. And if we have security in Nigeria, we will have productivity. If we have education, and we can declare emergency in Nigeria. If the federal government, just like other states, is investing 20% of our national revenue, both earnings and borrowings, on education, in 10 years, this country will be on the path to becoming like South Korea and Singapore. Go and check the top 10 most industrialized countries in the whole world. The top 10 most secured countries in the world are countries that have literacy level of about 19%. Education and knowledge is one of the ways you can empower people against all manner of mental captivity. Most of the recruitment field for Boko Haram, for non-government, are illiterate. Children will refuse to educate. Children will refuse to empower. One of the underlying principles behind our agro-revolution in the Southeast, we are building clusters in every of the 1, 2, 4 electoral ward. The underlying structure of that, if we build clusters where you can have up to 50 to 100 youths in every ward that are earning up to 100K every month, you have practically depopulated the population through which miscreants can hire people that they will use to commit evil. Educate people, either formally or through artisanal training. When you have an educated population that are well empowered, you are halfway towards building a prosperous society. But these guys do not want to do simple things that are simple. All they are busy trying to manipulate this, carry out propaganda. You saw what is happening over the last 2 weeks. Naira has gained over the dollar, and they were clapping, and I laughed. What basically happened was very simple. We know that during Christmas period, our diaspora brothers will come in droves. And most of them come in with dollar cash. They don't come in with transfers. So, of course, it's a simple law of demand and supply. And when the informal market is awash with dollar, Naira will appreciate. And again, at the CBN end, they are intervening with what part of the proceeds they got from their borrowings. There is no fundamental physical shift in terms of productivity, in terms of anything to enhance productivity on oil export in Nigeria. Today, India signed a 10-year oil purchase agreement with Russia at 500,000 barrels a day. That's a chunk of Nigerian market taken away. We are producing crude oil at a cost of about $40, $40 per barrel. When we were at a time producing it at $15 per barrel, ask yourself this question, Rudolph. Between 1999, 2004, 3, Obasanjo's first term, go and check the records. Oil prices never moved above $28 per barrel. In fact, when Obasanjo became president, May 29, 1999, a barrel of crude oil was selling for $17.36. Fact check me. How was Obasanjo able to build up foreign reserve of $45 billion, pay off and negotiated and paid off our external debt of $32 billion, did all the reforms that he did, and built an economy that grew at 6.5% per annum, and built up a middle class population of about 4 million people who earn between $110,000 to $100,000 naira equivalent? Then we had forex stability. How did Obasanjo achieve forex stability? Naira only lost at 8 naira in 80 of Obasanjo's day. How? Obasanjo understood, based on his former record as president, that the only way you can protect Nigeria is to protect our working capital, which is our oil and gas resources. Obasanjo ensured there was no leakages in the upstream. Obasanjo secured our oil assets across the creeks. Obasanjo wrapped up output for 1.6 million barrels to 2.2, 2.3 million barrels before I hand over to Yar'Adua. On the downstream sector, Obasanjo stopped leakages. At a time we had GDP per capita of about $3,000. At a time we had a 4 million middle class. People were coming in from JP Morgan Chase, from Goldman Sachs to work here in Nigeria. Investors were trooping in because there was price stability. There was no room for arbitrage and money laundering criminality. Between 1999 to 2007, when Obasanjo handed over, our PMS consumption moved only from 22 million liters to 25, 26, 27 million liters. There was no issue of Ponzi game, where everything was hovering from 38 million to 66 million, to 3 million, and nobody saw the cost to consuming it. No inquest was done. Nothing. It's on record in this one. There was a time we were looking for over $10 billion worth of crude oil, and nobody could find it where it was. Today in Nigeria, we proudly, the current GM of NNPC, proudly and gleefully told us on national television that on a monthly basis, Nigeria lose about $1.9 billion worth of our crude oil to different inefficiency. That was 3 years ago. The man is still there. If I have a private business, I have a manager who has come openly to announce to me that thieves have been stealing my goods and he cannot stop the thieves from stealing. What do you think I will do? I will not only fire him, I will investigate him. But here in Nigeria, everything is yo. In fact, it's very obvious that what we have in Nigeria is a court of political and corporate elites who have decided and sworn an oath to destroy and impoverish the rest of the Nigerians. And until all of us stand up, honestly, stand before their faces and tell them the truth the way it came in, but the Lord have told the truth, it will never change.
All right. We haven't even started. We brought you here for the discussion on the economic policies of Tinubu. You touched on them while you were talking. But before we go back to that, I want to first get your view on the other big issue, big story out of Nigeria, which is the story of the Farotimi, what is going on and how he's being treated by the Nigerian judicial system. And I want to know what you think about that. I'm sure you are following what's going on.
Dele is a prisoner of conscience. Dele is one Nigerian I'm so proud of. Dele's situation is another manifestation and application of the lawlessness in Nigeria. Defamation is a civil matter. As I am here, if somebody wakes up tomorrow and accuse me of this I did not do, what I should do normally under the law is to call my lawyers to, first of all, write a warning, desist letter. And I'll give the person 1 week to retract openly and publicly the libelous statements and the contents. When the person fails to do it, then I can go to court and approach the court for remedies. What you see in Nigeria is the usual thing, the big man thing. You saw the Risco thing. A woman did a review on social media platform of what she bought. She was arrested, detained, she lost her pregnancy, and nothing happened. It's one thing. And unfortunately, the same thing Kemi pointed out, the Nigerian police has yielded itself as the published arm of the Nigerian kind of big men. Every little thing, husband and wife, what else? Husband has the bigger power. Bring the police, woman is confiscated, woman is jailed, and the woman is thrown away. Today in Nigeria, if you go to some of our correctional centers, you will see many Nigerians languishing away, awaiting trial. And the offense that may not even take up to 6 months imprisonment. People have been in jail for 7 days, for 8 years. That is the level of judicial rascality and banditry and justice and what justice and justice that we have in Nigeria. So basically, if the legal juggernaut feel that Kenny has defamed him, there are legal procedures to follow. Using the police to harass him, to put him on handcuff. You saw what was making around. Somebody that I was alleged to have stolen 110 billion naira. Somebody that he was already evidence produced that paid school fees for his daughter and his sons over $1 million in 20 years in advance was seen in white garments, walking like an angel. But a man, the conscience of the nation, a man who is on record, nobody can accuse him of any criminality, was put on handcuff because somebody felt he defamed him. That is the kind of Nigeria we are in today. And There's always a thin line between despotism and good conscience. I didn't mean I'm saying it here. Many of us, I say to everybody, 80% of Nigerians, if you give them the same power that the political class are wielding, they will do worse things. Because the first place first of all, having character renaissance is mental renaissance. You must get to that point where you need to advise yourself. Look into the mirror and tell yourself, this is what I can do, and these are things I cannot do. If you cannot advise yourself on the right things to do, no other person can advise you. And I just pray that common sense will prevail. If you feel they have defamed you, follow the legal course. Using policemen to harass him. And of course, you see the caricature things we have in Nigeria. We have magistrate judges, magistrate courts, and all those stuff. Or, Rudolph, you see, when Donald Trump called here a shithole jungle, most of us were busy ranting, lamenting, crying. Show me, if I can give you within 10 seconds, 10 incidents in Nigeria that portray and support what Donald Trump said. Rather than us speak of first and quarrel with Donald Trump, we will go back and fix our rocks, fix the unjust table, remove those things and those structures that make people call us the shithole jungle of Africa.
How do you think the Dele situation will end? Do you see do you know Dele Farotimi? Do you know him personally?
I don't know him one-on-one, but he's somebody that I followed.
Okay. What do you think the elites, because we are talking about, what do you think is their goal? What do you think they want to achieve with this?
See, if they know Dele Farotimi very, very well, they are wasting their time. Dele is like Nelson Mandela. If they are expecting to break his bones, break his spirit, and get him to go on his knees and kiss the ring, Dele will rather die and not in jail. Is there anything that after Dele said that is not facts about Nigeria? Let us even look at it. Let us look at this kind of things. I'll give you a typical example. The 2022 Electoral Act was very clear that you cannot contest for two positions, primaries in the same party at the same time. Rochas Okorocha, former governor, was on record. I can play the video for you. Rochas was asking Lawan that they should explain to him how they were able to come back to the Senate. He was at the Eagle Square with them during their manifesto nights, contesting for the primaries of the APC to become presidential candidate of the APC. And before that presidential election, primary election, the Senate election, primary election had already gone because people bought their forms. People were screened. Elections were conducted. People won those nominations. And that stage passed because it was from the House of Assembly up. So how people that did not contest any primary election to go to Senate later ended up finding their way to the Senate? And the cost of the land endorsed it. Is a clear manifestation of the things, the kind of things Dele Farotimi is talking about. Rudolph, if we want to fix this country, each and every one of us, individually and must look into the mirror and tell ourselves the truth. The only thing that can heal us, this land, is the truth we know, say and apply. As long as we refuse to say the truth and try to hide it under some kind of, what I call awareness, we'll keep on wasting our time.
All right. Wait.
So my people, this is as much as my power can carry me, because this is a very long ride of 4 good hours interview. Rodolph and Dr. Nnemeka Onyeka Obiariri, investment banker and development economist. Let us just take few reactions and we'll round up the show. Just like as I promised earlier, that I will scrap at least 1 hour from this very conversation, and which I have just, or rather which I'm doing. So let us just take a few comments. This one is Dr. at Chris Adamudu said a doctor is a man to listen to anytime, any day. Looking forward, he said, good night. Looking forward, said, pretending you can build 10 stories on bungalow foundation speaks of a pool city of thought. What you mean, I don't know. The the priest, okay, the priest of peace said, Dr. Damages, this is Dr. Priest of Peace. I want to join. What are you joining? Okay, want to join to the conversation. Ade Odudu said the region should go their separate ways with the devolved powers and become productive, then contribute to the nation port. Not this situation where some people remain unproductive and live off the backs of others. It is absolutely unacceptable. That is what this our Yoruba guy said. The priest of peace said, I want to join. Oga, what are you joining? Biko. Nnamdi Onyebu. Hi, Dr. Damages. Please, how can I get in touch with Dr. Nnaemeka Obiareri? I would like to join this agro revolution by returning to Nigeria. Wow, this is a very nice one. Oh, Victor Nwosuchinasa said, Rodolfo, if Nigeria must move forward as a united entity, allow the East take charge of the affairs of Nigeria, you will see the new Dubai in Africa. But some evil individuals will not allow it to happen. That is why we are where we are today. Okay, according to Osibanjo said, that is why we are where we are. English, na your papa. The priest of peace, Dr. Damages, can you send me a link to join? I'm in Nigeria. Okay. Emmanuel Ochieke, 3 hours of the usual shouting and ranting of inconsequential statistics. We cannot even hear the man most of the time due to Nigeria's perennial bad technology, internet network. The point is in closing is that Mr. Nnaemeka Obiareri is exceptionally brilliant, yet he refuses to see that Nigeria cannot work and will never work, not in his lifetime. My brother, this one itself, it shocked me. Anyway, moving forward, Chukwuemeka Obiagini, okay, Chukwu Edozie Obianeku said the National Assembly is a product of imposed constitutional framework. Thus, it cannot be an instrument to amend the source of its own legitimacy. The starting point to remedy Nigeria is to give the manifest incompatible ethnic nations the chance to exercise their right to self-determination. This encompasses the expression of their consent on whatever to be, Nigerians or not. Let us look at Yugoslavia and stop pretending as if black people can perform the impossible. Above all, why should they be inputting positive value connotation on being a Nigerian? Why they input negative connotation on ethnic nations exercising the right to self-determination? Fallacious. What Kemi said about being Yoruba is analogs to what Nicola Sturgeon has been saying whenever she demands for Scottish right to self-determination. The question then is, why should what is good for white Scottish ethnic nation not be good for Yoruba or Igbo ethnic nations? Maybe because the latter are blacks. But people, nothing way person no go here. I say nothing way Adamu no go feel here or where you no go feel see forget. But anyway, whichever way it is, now here we go take end this show. When I go hear our voice again, maybe we'll try to continue the recording or not. But I'm very sure that this few one now can take us to somewhere else, or rather can take you to somewhere and give you the wisdom you needed and going forward. So my people, now hear me go take back break you. When I go hear our voice again, by coming back. My name is remain Okulora One Nation, or you can call me Amandia Neze, reporting from the platform of Okute Daily Talk, where we always speak to you the undiluted truth. And this is where the finest conversation take place every morning, afternoon, evening, even midnight. Anytime you call us, be rest assured that we are going to answer you. And that is where we stand. So my good people, oh yeah, we're going to enjoy this one. And I go hear my voice again. Kemesiano, according to my Igbo adage. Bye for now. Ndemmadu, self.